On the board here are the governor races across the country that are up for grabs in 14 days. Everything you see in yellow we consider too close to call. But down here in Florida, that's a red, almost a deep red, which we believe is a likely Republican hold there on behalf of Ron DeSantis, based on a lot of the polling. Recently, DeSantis up about 11 points now over Charlie Crist. What are the issues down in Florida? Wow. Right? Same story all across the country, right, Dana? Inflation clearly at 36%. 4 years ago, what a race this was. You had Andrew Gillum that was challenging Ron DeSantis, who at the time was a congressman. That's a difference of 43,000 votes across the state of Florida. That is razor tight. It was also the election when you really started to see things change statewide in Florida and how it went more and more Republican in the ensuing elections that took place. Let me pop down here real quick here and show you the presidential results from 2 years ago. Here's Trump beating Joe Biden by about 3.5 points, which once again gives you the indication about how Florida has gone red. Charlie Crist is with us now. He wants to be the next governor. And, sir, thank you for your time. Thank you for saying yes to our invitation. We have invited numerous Democratic candidates to join us on our program. We are pleased that you said yes. So good morning to you there in Florida.
Good to be with you, Bill.
All right, The Hill writes this from last night. All told, Crist needed more than just a good night on Monday to turn things around for his campaign. He needed a game changer. It's not clear he actually got what he was after. You needed a knockout, and that did not happen. Did it?
I think it did. And let me explain. I mean, what happened was I asked whether or not Governor DeSantis, if reelected, would serve a full 4-year term. He was like a deer in the headlights, Bill. He wouldn't answer the question. He couldn't answer the question. And he wasn't going to be honest with the people of Florida. But what I really think is important are the issues that we're able to discuss as well. Affordability is in a crisis in Florida. Housing is unaffordable in the Sunshine State. Good luck even renting an apartment. The price of gas is incredibly expensive. And utility rates have gone through the roof because DeSantis administration has taken their eye off the ball. And he personally has, too. Look, he's running for president. I think we all know that. He wouldn't admit it last night, but that's what's happening. And when you do that and you're traveling all over the country in the way that he is, raising money and doing other things to try to promote that 24 race, you don't pay attention to our property taxes, our property insurance that are going up, that I brought down when I was governor the first time. Utility rates that are going up under him, and I brought them down when I was governor the first time. These are the things, these are tabletop, kitchen table issues that people care about. The economy does matter. And under Ron DeSantis, our economy is not going in their favor, and they don't like it.
Mr. Crist, hi, it's Dana. So it's true, Governor DeSantis is a very popular figure in the Republican Party. He has been traveling a little bit and helping, but all governors do that. I'm sure that when you were governor, you did that for your fellow members of the party as well. I did want to ask you something, because over the last 34 years, you've run in 16 elections. You have put yourself out there. If you were to win this race and become governor of Florida, would you rule out running for president or accepting a vice presidential nomination if you were to win this race?
Of course I'll serve a 4-year term. I mean, that's why I'm running for governor. He's running for governor as a stepping stone to run for president. He couldn't answer the question, Dana, last night. I just did.
Do you blame
it's not that hard to do.
But do you blame somebody for not ruling out things? Because, for example, you've decided to run for many races. Maybe he will in the future or not, but he's very popular in Florida. In fact, call for number 2 here. Latinos support DeSantis over Crist, 51 to 44%. What has happened since you were governor to turn that around so that now the Republicans actually winning Latino votes there?
I think he needs to be honest with the people of Florida, and he wouldn't answer the question last night. We all have to ask ourselves, why wouldn't a man do that? What kind of character does that? I'm running for governor to be governor. He's running for governor to try to be president. And he ought to at least be honest with the people of Florida about that. I mean, last night he asked at the end in his close, I'm asking for your vote to run for governor, but he won't even tell them if he wants to serve a full 4-year term.
But, sir, what about my question about on the Latino vote?
Honest.
I mean, I hear you on all that. But to this question that I just asked, the Latino vote has changed quite dramatically in Florida over the past few years. And why do you think that is? That now Latinos support DeSantis over you in the most recent polls?
I think that's going to change in the next 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why, Dana. He pulled a stunt recently where he chartered 2 jets, took them to Texas, lied to people, Hispanics, Venezuelans, and Colombians in this case. That's not going to get him more support. It's going to get him less support because it was cruel, inhumane, and unusual. Lured him onto a plane, flew him up to Martha's Vineyard. They didn't know where they were going. They were told they were going to go to Boston. They were going to get housing. They were going to get jobs. None of that was true. That's what DeSantis did to Hispanics. That's not the way you treat people. That's not a person of character and decency and humanity. That's not what Floridians want. I think this thing is going to turn around. I believe I'm going to be elected governor on November the 8th, and I look forward to it.
We'll see on that. We'll be watching very closely in 14 days. He's got a record. You got a record. You voted with Joe Biden 100% of the time. How come?
Because I think he did what was right for the country. My God, we were in a pandemic. You know, I voted for things to help. I voted to secure the border. And, you know, I'm on the Appropriations Committee in the Congress. And so I had the opportunity to support law enforcement. I voted for $200 billion to make Florida and America more safe. These are the things I believe in. You know, I want to keep our taxes low. I want to keep my state safe. I want to fight to have a more affordable economy in the Sunshine State. Ron has ignored it. That's not right. That's not good leadership.
And you also voted
we need a governor who's on task and on the job.
87,000 new IRS agents. Why do we need that?
Well, do you want to collect taxes so that we can support our military? You know, I'm on the subcommittee in appropriations that supports our military, and I have voted for every increase for them, too. You ought to point that out, Bill.
Okay.
Yesterday,
well, the suggestion is that the IRS isn't doing its job, and I think for tax-paying Americans, they would suggest they are because they're paying their fair share. Go ahead.
Well, last night, I didn't think that you had a chance to answer the question about the CDC has said that the states get to decide whether children have to be required to get a vaccine, a COVID vaccine. Ron DeSantis has said that is not something that he would do, but I don't think you got a chance to answer that last night. What would you do? Would you require children to get a COVID vaccine?
I appreciate the question, Dana. Thank you very much. I tried to respond to it last night. What I was saying is that Ron DeSantis would not order vaccines for children. We are the only state in America that a governor didn't order vaccines for them so the parents could decide if they wanted their children to get the vaccine at all. That is unbelievably irresponsible. That's not a decision he should make. That's a decision the parents should make with the advice of their physician for the benefit of their children. Ron DeSantis shouldn't be making that decision. He at least ought to make that product that is life-saving available to the children of Florida, and then their parents, along with their physician, can make that decision for themselves.
Sir,
but he wouldn't even order the product, in this case, a vaccine.
Yeah, we're short on time. We've got a million more questions. Only be able to get a couple more here. Quickly, you were just talking about the flights in Martha's Vineyard. Sure. When you travel throughout Florida, how do you explain to the people of Florida how you can have more than 2 million people cross the border in the last 12 months? How do you explain why there are upwards of 100 people apprehended at the border on the terror watch list? How could you say or argue that this administration has done well on the border?
Because people like Ron DeSantis and most of the Republicans in Congress won't support comprehensive immigration reform that'll secure the border, make sure people are treated humanely when they do come in legally, like my grandfather did from the island of Cyprus, my grandmother did when she immigrated from Lebanon. There's a way to do this right.
That's right.
Unfortunately,
That's right,
Republicans
sir,
in Congress aren't supporting it.
With respect to your parents, there's a process. And your parents followed a process. Right now, Americans don't see a process on the southern border.
It's because the Republicans in Congress won't support comprehensive immigration reform. That's what we need, Bill. I think everybody can agree that's right. Secure the border. Make it a legal process. Have a pathway to citizenship. Do it the way my grandfather and my grandmother did it. That's what we need to do now. Republicans in Congress should start supporting that.
Do you believe the border is secure, as others have suggested?
No, of course it's not. I mean, we all know that. I mean, it's not secure. It needs to be. if we have comprehensive immigration reform, along with strengthening our borders, it'll be a better situation for everybody, including people that are fleeing, socialist regimes in Central and South America.
My last question is this. On the list of issues that Floridians care about the most that Bill showed in the board right before you came on, crime was the last one. And that's not the case all across the country. Do you give Ron DeSantis some credit for keeping that issue, crime down, keeping that issue off the people's minds, because the rest of the country is seeing something very different?
With all due respect, Dana, crime is up under the DeSantis administration. And I was governor, too, in the past. Crime was down under my administration. So if you want to look at crime, the one who's better on keeping Floridians safe is Charlie Crist.
Sir, thank you for your time. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we can have you back, okay? Charlie Crist.
I look forward to it. Thank you both very much.
Running for governor in Florida. Appreciate you taking a few moments with us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.